Going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. First off the bat, we've got a story that it gives me the chills as far as you guys know my view on humanoid robots and AI in general. I am almost a Luddite, which essentially means I really think we should be going backwards, not forwards as far as this goes, especially after reading the newest stuff on our IQ after 2010 going down dramatically. But a humanoid robot has now been released by China. This is a very freaky thing as far as a law enforcement officer, a straight-up RoboCop of the future. China police deploy a real-life RoboCop as humanoid tech takes a massive leap forward. Now, many of you have probably seen the Optimus bot or the Optima bot or the Optimus Prime, whatever the heck it's called by X or Tesla or SpaceX or Elon, whatever. And it is freaky how much these things can do now. As far as the technology, it is where they can get the battery tech. Instead of having, some sort of robot, they've had humanoid robots for a while, corded up to 50 different cords and having them, plugged into something. Now we have battery tech and everything shrinkified down to the point where they can actually have a mobile humanoid robot walking around, and it will actually make sense. As far as before, if you did put a battery big enough on it to actually make this thing last for an hour, it was so massive there was no point. So they've had the ability to make something like this for a long time. It's just the ability to actually make it freestanding and to have its own kind of, ability to actually roam. And that's exactly what's been happening the last 3 years. In fact, the law enforcement has now introduced a robotic colleague and a mechanized canine at the Chinese F1 Grand Prix. The robots, the humanoid G1 and dog-like G02, created by Chinese robotics company Unitree, were spotted overseeing the event at the Shanghai International Circuit. Unitree asserts that the G1, standing at 4 foot 3 inches tall, can carry up to 6.6 pounds and move at speeds up to 2 meters per second, about 5 miles per hour, which, if you've ever walked 5 miles per hour on a treadmill, that's not slow. Reportedly capable of carrying up to 26 pounds and can run at 5 meters per second as far as the canine goes, which is, that is incredible. I mean, that's a canine 11 miles per hour. Again, that's as fast as you would about drive through a parking lot. So this is kind of freaky as far as the faster and the more capable these things become, the more realistic it is that we will have RoboCops on our streets. Only they will have no heart. They will straight up be scary. Again, they already have weaponized drones. They already have all of these things. But now they have this huge leap in AI. So when will we end up seeing both of them all put together in a package with weapons? Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. It's a little guy, as you can see. It's about chest high to this gentleman here, but its gloves and hands are, again, that same technology. We've seen these things being able to do tiny little intricate things. This is going to replace you at your job at the factory. I can guarantee that. They're already working on these things, so they can basically go into their own ports, into their own homes, charge themselves, and work 24/7, all without any risk of any kind of physical injury at work. They don't have to worry about insurance on these. They just have to worry about an in-house mechanic. So this thing is absolutely crazy. It uses LiDAR as a mapping system. You might know that from your Apple or your cell phone that has it to map and to actually get distance. But this thing is incredibly technologically advanced compared to what they had just a few years ago. Same with the Optimus bot or whatever they call it. These bots are having huge leaps forwards. And we are going to not only see these things enforcing our streets, but we are also going to see them replacing us in our work. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So these bots, first of all, the fact that, China is putting these to work probably too early. And you can see China and the U.S., they keep releasing things back and forth. It's like they both want to be the first to release their version of this tech. What is scary to me is how much stuff China is releasing and coming out with. And a lot of people still doubt China can do anything, and that if they ever come to get us, that all their stuff will fall apart halfway here. I am not one of those people. I do not underestimate these people. Not only have they stolen our stuff, but they are ahead of us in autonomous and AI and drone technology. So this kind of thing, this is freaky. Dex, what did you think when you saw this little bot?
Well, I know that Tesla is working hard at getting their Optimus out and changing, the future of AI with robotics. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the competition is trying to beat them as it relates to, they've already beaten them in revenue on electric vehicles. And now if they can, jump out ahead on these robots, these AI autonomous robots, then I think that's a big threat to what is probably going to be the next biggest innovation from Tesla.
A lot of people ask the question, like, why does a car company for electric cars, why do all of these electric car companies end up getting into this? It's quite simple. It's the battery technology. The same technology advancements for battery are the only reasons that these things can get by. Without those battery technology, without these batteries shrinking down and being able to power more, and without the circuitry and all of the motors that go with it that can take less and less power and do more and more, this wouldn't be possible. And that's the only reason this is happening. So you're seeing any country that has taken a huge advance in lithium iron phosphate and some of these new battery technologies, they are all also taking these huge leaps in robotics. So these robots, I guarantee you, will replace you. And that's something that us as a whole, everybody is going to talk about it and be like, yeah, it's kind of crazy, it's coming. But at one point, it's going to be very fast and it's going to happen overnight. You're all of a sudden going to be out of a job. And this is something that nobody, people talk about, but nobody's really doing anything about it. Do you want this thing to replace you at the Amazon factory? Do you want it to replace you at the warehouse? No, but it's going to. And that's something we haven't talked about. What are we going to do when robots like this are affordable to a company where even if it does break, maybe they don't even need a mechanic for $30,000 less than what it would take for your yearly salary and the risk of insurance or any of that kind of stuff. They don't have to put up towards half of anything. Instead of even fixing the damn thing, they just buy a new one. So that's the freaky part about this, is these hands can do almost everything your hands can do. And that's really, really scary. Once the brain catches up with it, which basically it has, once the liaison between those hands and that brain catches up with us, at least from a physical standpoint, like doing simple menial labor, we're done. And at least in many, many places we are. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. And thank you everybody that has already popped in. Stephanie Cook, thank you for the support yesterday. Thank you guys. Live with Lisa. Live with Alicia. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Yvonne Berger, Black Sheep, Phil Bradley, Jeannie, And Trudy Mick, thank you so much. Big Chase and Emily Hillard, thank you for joining as members this week. All right, Dex, let's talk about China is also unveiling a powerful deep-sea cable cutter that could reset the world order.
Yeah, a compact deep-sea cable cutting device capable of severing the world's most fortified underwater communication or power lines has been unveiled by China. And I guess it could shake up the global maritime power dynamics. The revelation marks the first time any country has officially disclosed that it has such an asset. So keep that in mind. Like, we all know Russia has it. When we speculate, but Russia's never admitted it. We know the US probably has it too. We all probably have technology like this, but it's the first time that they've actually said it. The tool, which is able to cut lines at depths of up to 4,000 meters or 13,123 feet deep, twice the maximum operational range of any existing subsea communication infrastructure. So why would they need it to go twice the depth? That's interesting to think about too, unless there's some other use for this type of technology. So developed in China, is now, I guess, available and is going to potentially be in use. We'll know if we start seeing lines cut to be maybe look in their direction.
Well, you know, what I was thinking too is, what if we have other hard lines that are deeper than anything known about? Or there's top secret lines that are that deep and they're purposely saying we can go that deep. I don't know. Why did they put this information out? Why did they reveal this now? It's all part of something that I think is very obvious. And now most people, regardless if they're on the same page or not, most people are feeling like something massive is about to happen. We've known for years that this was in the works. This is a war that isn't overnight. It's not like this was just decided a few months ago, or that this was decided last year, or even when Ukraine started. This is a war that's been coming for a very long time, and you could see it for almost a decade back. Well, at least I could. I could see this 10 years ago. It was in every move that the governments of the world made. It's very, very simple. And I think that almost everything, including the things that you wouldn't think are connected, are connected. Like events that happened in 2019, like events that have happened in 2022 and 2023. Big events. And now everything is coming together. This is why everybody needs to have some sort of backup plan just in case things go south. Especially right now with tech where it is, with our dependence on that tech, and with as many enemies as we have right now, it is not a good time. It's almost like, you know, the president is seeing something and he's like, we're going to step back. We're going to make a wall around ourselves. We're going to put all of our ships around. We're going to make a golden dome. We're going to hatch it down while everybody else goes to war. And that's what it looks like. For those of you watching in Europe, chime in, say something. Say something to your American friends here in the chat and tell them, does it feel like you're about to go to war? Even if we think we're not going to go, I think that the world is going to go to war without us. And maybe if he goes, well, we're America first, we're going to keep everybody out of it. That's no different than any other world war. The war started on without us. We were financially helping or sending weapons to World War II and World War I. Then something happened. Most recently, the Pearl Harbor event, boom, got us involved in 1 second. And in fact, in one morning, we were all of a sudden in World War II. So what will that event be for us? I don't know, but I'm sure not praying for it to happen anytime soon. And then Dex, let's talk about the fire at the Russian oil depot.
Certainly. So a fire is raging on at the Russian oil depot serving the Caspian pipeline after another drone attack. So this has been raging now for 5 days. They haven't been able to put this fire out. This is also an attack on infrastructure. It's also something that Russia is accusing Ukraine of being behind the drone attack, and also saying it is violating the proposed ceasefire on energy sites. So this is a much bigger deal because of the fact that it's still raging, and it's also connected to one of their pipelines that feeds a lot of the oil that they export out of the country there.
Great comment by Stephen McMahon. Says by 2030, think about that. Really think about that. 90% of the jobs done by humans in 2020 will be done by robots, machines, and computers. We are obsolete, and the cabal will get rid of us. So by 2030, I've seen that stat. We covered that stat. That is really scary if that is continually, if that is presently still true, because I know that statistic is a couple years old, and now it's like you would hope that would be moved back. But I don't think it will be, especially with, every month we've been covering a new rollout or reveal. Today, it's the robot actually doing law enforcement, which I'm sure that little tiny 4'3" robot's not going to take you down. But maybe some other robots, like the ball robot that we showed you that shoots nets out, maybe that will work in conjunction with a robot like that. It spots the crime, then a crazy rolling ball comes in and shoots a net and grabs the bad guy. Don't know. I'm sure they're coming out with much better ones, and in the next couple years, we're going to see this move forward so fast, it's going to catch us at breakneck speed. Stephen McMahon, thank you for the support, and thank you for the great comment. Devin Bacchus, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support, and thank you for supporting Independent. All right, make sure to go thank your mods. We had a lot of great stuff. One of our main stories is actually from our mod, Ilea. In fact, neither one of us spotted this in the news. We'll talk about that, something that came down over California. And by the looks of it, at least by what I think, it almost looks like, not a satellite, but almost like a space station. The thing looks huge. Something came down, and for some reason, it's really not in a lot of the news. I was kind of surprised by that. Local news covered it, but really, maybe tomorrow it will come out a lot bigger than it is today. But man, something fell down over California. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Joseph Decker, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. And there's a really cool reason why now. We actually mentioned this and came out mid-show last night. We found out that we are finally having this start. So we've been working with EMP Shield behind the scenes to try to get something as far as a giveaway going, and it has now happened. So not only is this an awesome giveaway from EMP Shield, but it is also exclusive to us. So this is not a giveaway that 50 other channels are doing. This is just the Marfoogle fam. So if you are watching this channel right now, you could very well get your hands on one for free. But not only that, you can also get your hands on a huge chunk of a grid out as well. So very, very cool. They are giving away 5 EMP shields, and possibly the one lucky winner will actually get $1,000 credit at grid down. Now, again, if you already have a bug out or something like that, I would still play, because you could end up getting a bunch of solar panels or something else there. Again, this is a very, very cool giveaway. And again, marfooglenews.com/giveaway. If you end up wanting to just go get an EMP shield, this is the device that we have recommended for now 6 years to protect your vehicles, your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats against any kind of EMP strike or even a Carrington level event from the sun. But again, this giveaway is 100% free. Make sure to go check out the multiple ways you can actually gain more entries. Go check that out. And this stacks on top of their Liberty sale. So if you buy one shield, it's an extra $20 off. That it combines with our $50 off of everything on top of all sales. If you buy 2, you get an extra $60. If you buy 3, there's an extra $120. And if you buy 4, you will get an extra $200 plus $50 for each additional EMP shield purchase. So keep this in mind. You might want to, if you've been waiting a while, you guys can work amongst yourselves. But if you guys do pool together with family or friends or other folks here, if you end up going in on this, if you go 4+, you can end up getting, I think individually, almost 100 or even more off of each unit. So that would be the cheapest you could ever get one for if you end up pooling together or getting multiple devices for family. If you have, multiple kids, you're trying to protect them, you want them to be able to get home, that's a great, great deal. So again, go check that out. Again, 1 for $20, 2 for $60 off, 3 for $120, 4+, $200 plus $50 for each additional one. So again, go check that out. That stacks on top of our $50 discount. All right. And that goes for only another 15 days or 16 days or something like that. So make sure to get in there as quick as possible. And then the White House says Ukraine and Russia agreed to Black Sea ceasefire deal. Well, I wonder how well this ceasefire deal will go compared to the others, right? Specifically, right now, just 5 seconds ago, we talked about how this oil pump and energy is on fire for 5 days, and that they say that that's actually essentially breaking the other kind of ceasefire that they were doing. Dex, do you want to talk about how now there's another possible agreement reached and how this might look?
Sure. They're saying that they have announced that Ukraine and Russia have agreed to a ceasefire in the Black Sea to ensure safe navigation. I'm just baffled though because all these ceasefires, like even the one in the Middle East, has fallen apart. So, the fact that we're watching the fact that they had one against energy infrastructure, yet they're striking energy infrastructure against one another. Now they're claiming they're going to have one in the Black Sea, which I think probably benefits Russia a little more. It may not benefit them on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, because I know those water-based drones over the last year have done quite a toll on Russian ships in that area. So if they can, halt that, that's probably a win for Russia. But it then also maybe makes it difficult for them to play offense from those ships as well, which is something they probably were wanting to do.
And mind you, there's a lot of things at play with this. So say if they do a ceasefire, there's tons of opportunities for Fantastic Freddy events to happen. We don't know what happened with the oil depot or this or that, but it looks like they are absolutely trying to make sure that all of these ceasefire deals fall through. The Middle East, we can understand that. There's so much animosity between them. With Ukraine and Russia, that's a little bit newer as far as this hasn't gone back hundreds of years. Or even thousands in some ways. But as far as the Middle East, like we know that it's very often that all sorts of different Middle East deals between not only Iran and Israel, but other countries have always fallen through. It's very hard to get these kind of ceasefire deals between two different religions even. But as far as this goes, these ceasefire deals, it is almost like they are absolutely trying to make sure that there's absolutely never a chance of any kind of peace deal that is going to continue. Dex, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and under this deal, apparently Moscow is asking that Washington is promising to help restore Russian access to markets for its agriculture and fertilizer exports. So that would actually mean lifting some of the sanctions that are in place now against Russia. So I guess they're getting something out of this deal in addition to just a ceasefire. Russia would be getting some funds potentially. I guess they could also lose it quickly if they do break the ceasefire.
Which I'm sure certain media are going to cover this as that they're essentially helping out Russia, that it's pro-Putin. One thing I do know that is most of us don't want to see World War III. Most of us think that, it would be lovely if all of this just ended up solving itself. A lot of us think that we don't even belong anywhere in the middle of any of this. But again, the U.S. has been a world power that has basically had their hand in almost every country's business. So right now, as much as we all want to say, we shouldn't be involving ourselves in this, we're already involved. So at this point, you better prepare as if we are, especially with how this could go south very, very quickly. It has gone south. Once North Korea joined the fight, now we're talking about, sending European peacekeepers in. Those peacekeepers have been talked about since before they even mentioned it. All of us in this community saw that coming from a million miles away. They've done this multiple wars where they send in 30,000 peacekeepers, and it ends up being troops, and something happens and it escalates even further. So pray. I would pray if you have a God to pray to, that all of this ends up going away somehow, because I don't think it's going to be good for anybody, regardless if you're here in the U.S., if you're in Australia, if you're in Europe, if you're in Brazil. Doesn't matter where you are. This next war is going to affect us all. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and the other thing that's interesting is I don't know if this actually means they're not going to use their warships, or if it just means they're trying to, because the way it sounds, it's like it's focused on commercial vessels. So they want to ensure safe navigation, eliminate the use of force, and prevent the use of commercial vessels for military purposes in the Black Sea. So it may not surprise us if we see, rocket launches off of military vessels into the mainland there from the Black Sea. But what we may not see is the embargoes that have been against the Ukraine ships that have been coming and going, because Russia tends to think that there's, weapons on them from the West, which there probably are.
Yep, exactly. And Yemen's Houthis now claim a new missile attack on Israel's Ben Gurion airport. So just as all of the other deals, it's like there's something else that's falling apart. The Middle East is on fire right now, and there are no firemen. I mean, it's insane. The Yemen Houthi group said Tuesday that it targeted Ben Gurion Airport in central Israel with 2 missiles as regional tensions spike over the ongoing Israeli attacks on the Strip. Well, from their POV, yeah, the Strip, as far as the strike that happened on the Strip, I think many of us, even people that are massive supporters of Israel, didn't really see that coming. So this is a huge deal. This means that, it very well looks like this is not going to be a very peaceful resolution. It says there was no immediate Israeli comment on the Houthi claim. The group said that 2 hypersonic ballistic missiles were launched at the airport in the 5th such attack in the past few days. So much for any kind of solve for that. Now, as far as those attacks, luckily they're not on us, but I wonder how Trump's going to take that. He said that essentially any attack on commercial ships or anything like that they would hold Iran responsible. I wonder if this, because, Trump is so close with Israel, is this going to transfer over to his kind of promise to hold Iran responsible for this? I mean, think about it. They are planning, they say that they're planning some sort of big strike on Iran as far as Israel goes. Are we going to pull a part of that now because of all of this? Dex, what do you think? I mean, this is directly at Israel, but Israel is kind of in a back and forth. They did the Strip attack, right?
Well, yeah, and they continue to, and they even continue to strike in Lebanon as well. So, yeah, everything is just right back to full-on, hot escalation in the Middle East now, and expect more of this. Expect more of this, and then expect, response from Israel. Expect response from potentially even the U.S., as we just saw recently when we, took out a whole bunch of Houthi targets in Yemen.
And this next part is important. It says the Houthi group also said its forces targeted hostile U.S. warships in the Red Sea without providing any further details. So is there something else that some other attack in the last few days that we are not being told about? Again, the only news about moving ships around, we had 3 carriers that were headed towards the Middle East, but we also had a ship that was moving towards our southern border. So we didn't hear anything about any of our ships getting attacked, did we? I mean, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I didn't hear anything.
They say they're always under attack, but the way they've sort of framed it is when the Houthis say they attacked them, the U.S. sort of laughs it off because it says their stuff never makes it or it's intercepted and taken down. So it's not like they've been hit. Our defenses have always worked, or their ability to target is abysmal and they miss.
Yes, but no, other comments say that they've got advanced gear from Iran now that is able to hit. And the only reason that they formally hit that previous time was because they ended up having gear they shouldn't have their hands on from Iran. So as part of that notice over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Trump said that he was going to hold Iran personally responsible. So are we going to see that? It might not be because they struck Israel, because Israel ended up striking the Strip. But what about what they are saying? They said that they also targeted U.S. ships. If they targeted U.S. ships, whether it be a commercial or a tanker even, then aren't we supposed to then hold them responsible? Is Trump going to feel like he's obligated to? Because he already said it out loud. He said it in the notice to the entire world. We are going to hold Iran responsible for all of that. Or are they going to be quiet? They're going to bide their time and get Iran at the right time. Are they going to team up with Israel, much like how they teamed up, in my opinion, on Syria, took Syria over? Are they going to do something massive to Israel to Iran together? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Russia is leveling up its Shahed drones with new Chinese antennae to defeat Kiev's jammers, Ukrainians say. And remember, Kiev's jammers are most likely technology from the U.S. So they're saying that they're putting these new antennas that are able to basically get by a lot of the jamming and the things that are going on, that the technology that Kiev has. So one question I have is, if they have technology to get past Ukrainian technology, does that mean They have the technology to get past U.S. technology or European technology. Dex, as far as the Shahed drones, we've talked about these for a very long time. You might have seen pictures of these crashed in different cities. These are extremely dangerous. These have been the longest used out of all of these. And I think Iran made a lot of these, right?
Yeah, correct. They run on little, seems like gas powered lawnmower type engines. They're like really small, lightweight, and they sound like a roaring lawnmower through the sky as they come barreling in. But yeah, I think they've had plenty of opportunity to figure out how to jam these systems Kiev has or Ukraine has. And so for them to switch out to a different system, I guess maybe gives them an advantage for a while until that system gets cracked and hacked and figured out how to jam. And so it sounds like they're upping the game by using some Chinese tech, some new Chinese tech that's going to come on board.
So I wonder what these things are. It looks like this one almost has another camera, or what is that? Is that a sensor of some sort? Is that a ball that can be moved around like a second camera? This looks like the main camera right here. It almost looks like it has some sort of maybe even infrared right here. And then what are these two little things? Like, I wonder how this is actually put together. What is the functions of these little nubs right here? But yeah, what a trip. They can put essentially a lawnmower engine on something like this and do so much damage with it. And then we have the Kremlin targeting app at heart of White House group chat leaks. So isn't this funny? And here's something just a little bit odd. Was it yesterday, Dex, that we talked about the Signal leak, right?
Yes.
So we covered this, and if you didn't read that entire article, I highly recommend you reading it full and not going through the highlights of it. So Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic said that he accidentally got entered into this Signal chat of 18 of the most powerful people in the world in the U.S. government, that supposedly they were working out Yemen strikes on this Signal group. The only person that we didn't officially see that was in that group was the president himself, but JD, the vice president, was, according to all of this. Most of these people went by initials in this group, and the person, Jeffrey Goldberg, claims that he didn't believe it was real until after it said that they were going to strike at a specific time. He said that then he basically pulled off aside in a parking lot of a grocery store, and at the time that they said in the Signal group when they were going to start, releasing explosives into Yemen, it happened. So essentially, he confirmed that he was in a real group. Now, I think there's a lot of weird stuff about this. First of all, we're not supposed to be using Signal for this. Our government shouldn't be using it for it. A lot of questions were raised, like, does that mean that, VP was possibly in his car driving his kids to school and some other, Tulsi Gabbard's on the golf course or something, or vice versa, whatever, that they were using a Signal app encrypted end to end and that they were doing this stuff through that. Now, it might sound safe for me or you to contact each other that way, but for government use, they're supposed to be in a skiff. They're supposed to be on a top secret line. They're supposed to be doing this stuff, extremely, very careful. But I have my questions about this whole thing, because how did the guy accidentally get added? His initials were JG, which were just a couple letters off of JD. Maybe they accidentally added him. But why would they be in that group in the first place? Well, now this story comes out. Dex, do you want to talk about how they say the Kremlin is targeting Signal?
Well, yeah. So, this is a great news story to come out, given the timing of everything, because it just allows them to latch on to that message and make it out like there's something nefarious here. With Russian military hackers have targeted the messaging app at the center of the White House group chat fiasco, as they like to call it. So researchers at Google found cyber attacks linked to Kremlin's military intelligence agency had sought to gain access to Signal accounts in Ukraine, not our leadership here in America, but in Ukraine, and were likely to use techniques on targets to snoop on conversations. So, look, to be honest, in my opinion of this is you can swap out the word Signal with any other app, Facebook, Telegram, WhatsApp, iMessages, whatever Google messages are, any type of service, you can say that Russian military hackers have targeted that system and that service, period, because they do. As it relates to targeting Signal, let's keep in mind how that works. Signal is not a service in the sense that there's a certain online company with all the messages and they just go attack that one place and get access to it. The way Signal works is it encrypts things in end to end, meaning an individual user and another individual user have encryption between the two of them. And the only way you're going to ever infiltrate that is to infiltrate one of those users. So if you go back and read what it said here, it said that they are, the attackers are trying to gain access to Signal accounts. In other words, trying to gain access to an individual user. So just to put all that into perspective so that it doesn't get, blown away with the headline, because the headline sounds so nefarious. And I'm not trying to stick up for, this conversation that they had. And I also add to it, Adam, as you were describing the Goldberg story, nothing in what he released showed the sensitive data. He just claimed that there was there. So it has not been actually proven. Nobody's denying that they had conversations. But they were actually communicating the war plan in that message. Nobody has seen
any proof that sensitive data exists is null and void, because he said he's not going to get anybody in trouble or the United States in trouble by sharing sensitive data. But one thing I have a question is, as long as they have that, they say that they have, plus this came out after the fact. They could straight up make up the entire story after the fact. If they said the day before, they say they're going to strike at 8:45, put that somewhere, then at 8:45, come out and say, look, we knew this was going to happen because we're part of this group. They could say anything, and they could make up whatever conversation. Here's my thing. The conversation with J.D. Vance saying, oh, I know, I'm just so sick of sticking up or saving Europe's butt, or what was it? He said, I'm so the freeloaders, the European freeloaders or whatever, and having Pete Hegseth, yeah, I totally agree with you on the European freeloaders. It sounds like a made up conversation. Now, what proof do we have that this guy even did all of this? He's saying that all of these things were said, but he said it after the fact. So it doesn't make too much sense to me that, they need to show everything. They need to show transparency besides the sensitive stuff. Since the time that they and did all of that, since it's over with, show us everything. Show us how, all of that. Be transparent. Get another account, because you can't use that one anymore. You just made a story that went worldwide about it, about your account, Jeffrey Goldberg, that said you were in on this group. The conversation seems fake. That all JD says is that, no, I didn't text anything, and that technically JD Vance could be trying to be technical about it. I'm sure many people have heard an argument like that, like he was in Signal, but Signal is not text messaging, right? So it also could be they really did have this. Maybe they were trying to utilize something more hip, or I don't know. The thing is it's very believable, because you see everybody that was put in these spots wasn't the traditional pick. So maybe they weren't doing something traditional. Maybe they weren't doing something like this, but it does not make sense for them to use Signal. They have systems that they could use. They can do their little emojis and all of this stuff with the systems that the government has for them to communicate. So I don't understand why they would need to do it like that. The whole thing just seems super, super fake. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Stephen Click, Dex has secret admirer, Bobby Sue, hottie alert. Hey, Stephen Click, nice to see you. Bob Pitts, thank you for subscribing. Curly, thank you for subscribing. Joseph, thank you as well for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And thank you, Darren, for subscribing as well. And let's see here. Yeah, and then we're going to go over this space incident here. So stick around. You're not going to want to miss this. Before we do, make sure to go check out Jace. This is an easy service that you can do from the comfort of your couch. You can go get a Jace case. This service is really cool because you can talk to a board-certified doctor. Not only can you get a kit that is sent to your door very conveniently, while we do have supply lines and everything we take for granted, you can also add in things like, hey, doctor, certified board doctor? Or can I get a albuterol inhaler? Can I get this? Can I get that? There's a whole list of add-ons to things that you can throw in this kit, and then you'll have it ready in your truck or in your house or, again, at work, somewhere that you need an emergency kit. That has not only antibiotics, but other things that you can add on. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. You're not only going to get a savings with that, you're also going to help our channel and help independent media at the same time as getting prepared for the unlikely and unexpected. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. Also, check out Jace Daily. That is where a service they provide where you can talk to the same doctor and say, hey, I need a 12-month extended supply of blank, blank, and blank. And again, that is another awesome thing they have there. So you'll be able to get it in bulk, and you'll have from tomorrow, like say the lights go off tomorrow, you'll have a year of your regular medicine that you can rotate in with your normal prescription and always have a year from whatever day something goes wrong. marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. And now we're seeing a lot of things around this, including even Zero Hedge is putting out 7 actions that NATO countries are taking, which indicate that something really big is coming. And again, we're going to talk about what came down over California, which I think only adds to the mystery of what is happening here. Dex, we just talked about this over on Marfoogle News, but there's a lot more. I mean, the Foogle fam, you guys are adding in things every 5 minutes to the comments of that last video. This is really freaky as far as the fact that now the messaging has really, really picked up as far as many people. It's not so much that they're saying they're going to war. It's more that people are now sensing and seeing the little stuff in all of these European countries that they are preparing for a massive war.
Yeah, that's correct. And that video we did over on news, I think, does a great job of going through all of these, which you guys should look at and see how and share that, because it's a shareable video. It's ideal to share. This is a really good video for you to take and share with your friends, your family, the folks that you may want to say, hey, look, this is the time to be more concerned about things popping off. And here is the actual proof that all of this stuff is building up. Not just what we talked about from this one particular article that talks about it, but we added in other things that we think about, like what's been happening with the setups and the potential Fantastic Freddy's, as we call them, that they point the finger towards Russia for these different events that have happened over the last few months throughout Europe. All of those different things, plus all of the comments that are going to be coming in from the Foogle fam in that video down below with the rest of the information. So go check it out. Definitely worth a look.
And I want to
share.
I want to point out. So there's just each one of these you could expand on. So it says like France is getting ready to distribute a 20-page survival manual. We just covered a few days ago. All of these countries, Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Sweden, all of these countries are working in all sorts of other things. Not only are they creating ditches and actual defense mechanisms, they're doing fences, they're doing dragon's teeth. Like, this doesn't mention any of that stuff. It doesn't mention that France isn't the only one giving out these pamphlets. Over the last 2 months, we have covered that almost all of these countries are not only doing classes, telling their local grocery stores to essentially start programs so they can train people how to survive and what to keep and what kind of stuff you should have in a go bag. They are doing public service announcements in Europe. They are doing all sorts of other things that are not in here. This is just this is literally the tip of the iceberg. The Golden Dome that we are forming, the talk about Greenland, Canada, the stuff that's happening in Mexico, the bridges being built in the Darien Gap, all of the things that happened over the last 4 years with people coming in. There is a sign almost anywhere you look that something massive is coming. The South Korean president being taken out after saying that China infiltrated their government. There's a ton more. There's so much more. And honestly, people need hardcore things to look at. This is just one tiny thing. But I highly recommend going through our previous shows, going and grabbing the articles that you need. If there was, say, some sort of claim or, oh, they're building a bridge here or this or that, go grab the link from whatever show we talked about it on. It's always on our bibliography at marfooglenews.com. You can go there and you'll see that not only do you have the bibliography for everything, but you have, of course, all of the info, tweets, and things that are relevant to all of these shows. So if you need something to back yourself up, to tell your family, hey, you need to get prepared, it's all here. Speaking of which, This is really, really crazy. So, again, I heard nothing about this. And, raise your hand or say I didn't either in the chat. There were so many people in California that messaged us about this, the first person of which was Ilea. But I did not hear about this anywhere else. There was essentially this mysterious light that went across the sky in California. The crazier videos that got out. In fact, I don't have the clip Ilea originally sent me. My phone, the port ended up getting wet, so I couldn't send Dex the exact one that Ilea sent me. But this is another of the local channels that are covering this. Again, multiple residents across Northern California have sent in videos of what looks like a meteor streaking across the sky. But just a small clip of this. So let's see here.
Space debris re-entering the Earth's atmosphere and then burning up. We want to show you another view of this. Damar Amir sent us this from Lincoln in Placer County. Damar was walking around Coyote Pond.
Now, if you're familiar with that area, people looked up and they saw this thing. When you see the close-ups of this, it was almost straight across the sky. Dex, you made one suggestion like this could almost be the F-47 or something just flying, right? But when you see the other clips, which we do not have here, they're zoomed in. It looks like a giant fireball coming down. So it must have been after this or from a different angle. But man, the perspective of this, when I talked to Ilea, they're calling it space junk. I said, man, that doesn't look like a satellite. It looks like a space station. It's huge. And it struck across the sky and potentially even came down over California. I know that there's good odds of an asteroid going in every state anytime, right? There's asteroids hitting or meteors coming down in every state all the time that we don't see or talk about because they, one, don't get spotted, or two, they're not tracked. They just come in, they're small, and they burn up in the sky. But something like this over California, with the timing as it is, well, Space Force in the last week has talked about a space war going on. I think it's kind of interesting that this comes down right over California. Dex, as far as this goes, I mean, we look at all sorts of news and aggregators, and we didn't see anything about this. Don't you think it's kind of weird? Normally they want to talk about any kind of meteor, especially one that dozens and dozens of people got video of.
Well, yeah, the fact that you've got a lot of eyeballs on this one and a lot of video, it's fascinating.
The news is always looking for the easy story, and like this is spotted from all over. I mean, there's tons and tons of videos of this thing. How did this not make it into anything? It's almost like it was purposely not talked about. It makes me wonder if the two local channels here, I mean, they covered it, but it's like, I bet you by tomorrow there will be stories and say, oh, something streaked across the sky in California. But why wasn't there stories? This was not, an hour ago. This was more than 24 hours ago. How was there not more talk about this? With all of the space stuff that goes on in California and Florida, when stuff like this happens, it's definitely a big issue or a big subject. So why is there very little talk about this today? I'm very confused about it. Again, that video was put up 22 hours ago. I will get that other video. That has probably at least 8 different videos, one of which stands on the street, looks up at this thing, and it looks huge. Again, I said to Ilea, I said less like a satellite, more like a space station. So thank you to Ilea, our awesome mod. You can actually go support her by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends and going and subscribing. Again, you can also check her out on Twitter. All of the links are right there at your fingertips for all of our mods and all of our friends. Newly added, we just added Lisa Haven, who stopped by the other day. Go check her channel out. All right, and then if you saw it or if you have videos, not only can you submit them, but you can also go to MFN Tips line. So you can email us the video. You can also go to the MF Tips line. If you have a story that is again, connected to anything we just talked about here today or anything that is nobody's talked about. You have an anonymous tip line right there. Again, the MFN tips line, Go check it out. And you don't have to have an email. That is only if you want us to follow back up with you. All right. Again, you can put your hot tip right there at marfooglenews.com/tips. All right. Dex, you know what else too? I mean, it literally could be just F-47 flying. Like, we don't even know what it looks like when it flies.
Well, it's supposed to be stealth, so I'd like to think that you wouldn't see that. But but maybe it's some other secret aircraft. We've heard all these, rumors of lights over the ocean and crafts coming up and hovering lights. I think it was in Florida, and then seen in other parts of the world. And who knows, maybe it's working its way around California. But sure enough, this thing does look very much like you would see an asteroid or space debris coming in. It follows that speed, so to speak, but like you said, it's much bigger in some instances where it just looks massive in size from some of the angles. And I added the video that Ilea had. I just got it and put it on the website so you guys can look at it too.
Perfect. And then just add this one last part in.
If you captured video of this streak,
let's see here. Let's go right here. They tell you which direction.
In the sky, we want to see it. Just scan the QR code. We want to see it. Video of this streak of light in the sky, we want to see it. Just scan the QR moving from west to east. And if you
Okay, so if you heard that I was moving west to east, so if you have your doorbell cams or your garage cam or something, go check that out. It was last night or the night before. So go check it out. Send us the video. If you have an exclusive video, send it to us first. And of course, we would appreciate it much. Thank you, Ilea. Thank you again. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Devon, Devin Bacchus, and then Ashley Tolliver Wilson. Seems pretty fishy to me. And I think she is talking about the whole story with JD and the signal thing. Thank you, Ashley. Stephen Click, thank you again. I appreciate your support as well. And Stephen McMahon, thank you for being the top supporter today. Again, new member again. Thank you so much. Let's see here. We had Joseph Decker. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night. Dex, thank you for all your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. And make sure to go check out that other video we did over on news, proof something massive is coming. Available in the link down below. If you go to the website, just go look for that thumbnail. If you want the bibliography for today's, go to this one. If you want to come over to Jams, just stay in the chat. You'll be ported over. Don't go anywhere. If you want to watch the replay,